Blessings and greetings and blessings, blessed souls. We're live because we're meriting to stay alive at this very moment. In Torah Chaim, instructions of life, Torah Chesed, with kindness, Torah Rachamim, instructions of mercies. In this new series, Torah or Chassidus Elevate Souls Part 1 is dedicated to the elevation of two dear souls. One, my mother-in-law, Maras Rivka Fortuna Ale Shalom, Bas Daniel Alav Shalom, and an outstanding young man that we just lost in Chicago due to a brutal murder of him, an innocent soul walking through Rogers Park in Chicago the night of Shmini Atzeres. Bachar Tamim, Reb Eliyahu ben Mendel, Hashem Yanakim Damo. So we'll be reading in bits and pieces, hopefully over the next year, a seminal teaching by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and excuse me that the camera might be shaking, and I'm focusing on two lights as a remembrance and a dedication to the elevation of these two wonderful souls. Again, my mother-in-law and Baruch Tamim Eliyahu Moskowitz. So please excuse me if the camera shakes, because actually my heart is trembling more than the shaking of the camera with the loss of these two wonderful human beings. However, we need to fuse their elevation with the teaching of Torah, and I thought it would be most appropriate to hopefully spend the next year fusing the elevation of their souls with all humble efforts by plucking inspirations from a Hasidic discourse, a seminal discourse, teaching from the Lubavitcher Rebbe from 54 years ago, where the Rebbe explained the contributions of Chassidus and why all the members of the nation of Israel, as well as the Chassid Olam, the pious ones of the nations, should be engaging in learning of Chassidus, the spreading of Chassidus, and the implementation of Chassidus towards the purification of the mind, the heart, and the animal soul. There are many ways we can discuss the nature of Chassidus. The word nature in Hebrew is teva, which also has within it the Torah Gematria, excuse me, of 86, which corresponds to Elokim, which is one of the names of the Creator, the source of all might and ability to run all of creation. So there is a godliness embedded within the nature of Chassidus, but there was a distinction which was and is and will always be identified with this portion of Torah, meaning that it is connected to the Panimis Torah, the inner dimension. And the Rebbe began to elucidate 54 years ago matters that we can still discuss. Namely, at the beginning of the movement, of the modern Hasidic movement, who our patriarch is identified as the Baal Shem Tov. But with that being said, we have to understand there have always been movements of Hasidim, of a Hasidic movement, prior to even the time of the Baal Shem Tov, going back to the time of Yehuda HaChassid, who lived in Worms, Germany, when there was actually a Hasidic movement amongst the Ashkenazic Jews. I think around 800 years ago, there were the Hasidim Rishonim, who were identified in the Talmud over 16 to 1800 years ago. King David identified himself as a Chassid. So there's nothing really new with the idea of the Chassid, as much as what each particular movement contributed to the learning of Torah and the implementation into practical action. This is a matter of discussion and discerning that which we can implement today in the most practical level. But if we go back almost 300 years ago, the Rebbe explained that at the times of the Baal Shem Tov, the world was a state of spiritual unconsciousness, sort of state of a fainthood. And it was through the personal microcosmic revelation of the Baal Shem Tov and the teachings that he would start to disperse, that the world was aroused from this state of alfut, or a state of fainting, not being fully conscious of purpose and content of creation. That being said, we'll conclude with Ahava Chad, one love, Gorla Chad, one destiny, Kulana for all of us, Badarchim Darki Shalom, in a pleasant and peaceful way. And as your local international cyberspace Torah actor has done this to good, and it's my obligation to remind everyone, I've got to be good, you've got to be good, we've all got to be good. So Tevatov Lahetiv, it's nifshik to do good, and the Creator patiently waits for all of us to activate our goodness, because it's embedded within us, blessed souls, from our loving, merciful Creator. Aham Shik Be'ez Hashem Yisparek, to continue with the blessings of the Most High.